ladies' potential.
It is.
This conference will now be recorded.
Almost be as good as dots. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very good. Welcome to the crowd with bated breath for the June 1st budget hearings, or budget presentations from the departments. And we'll move right into emergency management. Marcy?
Randy's on call, he's probably here for a while.
Okay.
Do I open or closed?
Open.
Okay.
That'd be good. Welcome.
Got secrets.
Oh. I've been a week, I don't even know this stuff, so.
If that's the case, we have to ask for executive session. If it's something that we gotta keep
Oh, no,
confidential.
I don't believe so.
I think the budget presentation will be all
Yes.
Did I tell you that the board needs copies? That we need
No,
6
but
copies?
I can handle that. No, but-
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you.
No,
So
that's okay.
let me have your stuffs and we'll get copies.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Maria.
Is this everything?
Elegance.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Just,
I wanted to start, one of the things that you guys had asked me to do is communicate better. So what I wanted to do was explain a little bit about what we do with the storms.
oh, great.
One of the biggest things is anytime we have a storm and spotters are called out or dispatch starts getting information in on spotter reports, we switch our radios to the EM channel and I help dispatch with the EM channel and bring those in. And then between dispatch and myself, we put those in what's called National Weather Service chat, so they know what's going on. So like for last night, the size of the hail that we had in Peabody, the size of the hail in Gossel, the size of the hail in Lincolnville, all that stuff went into that system. So there's like an extra person kind of looking at those radios. The other thing that we do is if I'm on a team that actually goes out and takes a look at things. So the one a week ago, for example, we got a call about 120th and Nighthawk. So dispatch sent me out there, thank you, sent me out there to take a look to see, because we have to report certain things. Is there debris in the water? Is it fast moving? Is it slow moving? How far over the bridge is it? How deep is it? You know, is it something that needs to be closed? Is it going to continue to go up? Where are we at in the storm? Things like that. So, and then we actually, on that one, we actually had to get some assistance because people kept driving through and full-blown trees with roots going over the bridge. So we did have to block off. I was blocking off one end of Nighthawk, and there was another officer blocking off the other end. And then Road and Bridge came and closed it up. But so that whole team, we all work together on wherever you need to go, type of thing. On most nights, the biggest thing is probably monitoring radar and weather reports and working with dispatch and getting information out to people, which you probably got all my 50 gazillion emails, sorry. So that's kind of what we do during the storm. In case you're wondering. We also do what we call aftermath. After the storm is done, like this morning, got up and went and checked. They had other people checking the from 190th south, so I checked from actually 190th to about 300th. That was my section of the county to check, and then so that way we all have different sections to check. So kind of did that this morning. So that's just a little bit about.
Appreciate all you've been doing, and it's a lot here lately.
Yeah.
So, where do you sit at during all this?
It depends on what it is.
Okay. I don't know if you work from home or go to the office or.
Most of the
Dispatch.
time, I don't go to my office, I go to dispatch.
Okay.
In the Emergency Operations
There's
Center.
more information.
Yeah, that's majority where I'm at, is right in there.
Okay.
I will occasionally work from home if there's like a big break in between a storm system. Like last night, we had a break from 10 o'clock until 3 in the morning. So yes, I'll go home and then there was a short, that 3 in the morning one was kind of a short one. So, I won't clock in, that wasn't clocked in. But,
I'm just curious.
yeah, I'll do that from home, because I've got an EOC all set up at home, because during COVID, you had to have that, so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna come
Just-
look for you. I'm gonna stay home.
No, you can come over anytime you want. My kids are used to my radios and all my radar and everything else going on, so.
Yeah, comment?
Oh, just to comment that Marcy already knows that, in a non-exempt position, such as she's in at the moment, that all work time is compensable, that's all.
Oh.
So she shouldn't be doing much of any work on it.
Well, unfortunately, there's been storms
I
every
know.
night for how many
Speaking
nights
of
in a
which,
row?
Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday, just
No, we can't do that. Just Chinkalasa.
Mother Nature is not paying attention right now.
It's not.
Yeah, I don't
Says scared.
see in her budget looking for a giant umbrella.
Or a hail shield.
Oh my gosh, that hurt.
But Marcy, thank you for informing us. That's educational for us,
Yeah.
and we
Well,
appreciate
and
it.
some of it I knew,
But it's still, it's good educational information.
We always know there's probably more involved than what we see, so it's nice to know.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize, this is gonna be short, I've been at this a week. So, under the first line item, the personal service, that's the attachment that came straight from Terry.
Yep.
So, I haven't touched that at all. Contractual, I had a question about this one. The reason why there is more in there is because of IT's Microsoft 365. I'm not sure how the commission is doing that for all the departments. So in case you decide you're splitting it up and each department has their own that they have to take out, that's what that extra is in there for. Is because I don't know if that's coming out of general, if that's coming out of individuals, what that is.
Typically, that's gonna come out of courthouse computer,
Okay.
it's in the general fund.
Okay,
And,
so you can just,
but I know that emergency management has some redundant type systems, so sometimes they have additional things coming out of
So it
theirs.
might be good to keep it in place.
In looking at the historical figures, you may or may not, I wouldn't think you probably need it, but.
okay. Yeah, cause we have a whole bunch of, if you have a natural disaster,
Mhm.
you have to activate the emergency operations plan, which is usually activating your EOC.
Yep.
So we have like email addresses and numbers for an operations section, a planning section, a logistics and finance section. All of those are underneath that extras that you have to have in, because like the state will contact you through that general
Sure.
email, not a specific person's email,
Yeah.
so.
Very
And it
good.
doesn't, like I said, I don't know yet enough about how that's all gonna look to whether that needs to be raised or not.
Right.
One thing to keep in mind is that the emergency management department is in the general fund as well. So if there is an overage, as long as the general fund is an over.
Okay.
So.
Okay, very good.
The next one, the reason why you see that 16 there is because I just turned a check in. So, that was the one that's the grant.
So, the expenditures will match the amount of the
Gotcha.
grant,
Very good.
or should.
And then the next are zeros, of course. Then you go down to commodities, left that the same.
Mhm.
Capital outlay, left that the same. The one right below it, vehicle replacement, the same thing that each department always does, added 5,000 in, so when it comes, 10 years down the road, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
Very good.
like I said, this one's short, sweet.
Very good. Good
I don't know-
information.
I don't know much, so, now, if I could, I wanted to, and, Commissioner Gearing knows this about me, but, I wanted to end on a positive note, so there's always a positive note. One of the things that I experienced last week and this week is, I know I'm alone in emergency management, but when you do weather, disasters, anything, you're never alone. And we had so many people that worked together as a team during even rain. We have dispatchers. Linda, the woman in charge of dispatch, did stuff from home. So she was off the clock too. Peabody Police,
Tell me.
Peabody Fire, Gossel Fire, Florence Fire. Sharon from Planning and Zoning helps out because she's the expert on everything water. Road and Bridge, of course, all hours of the night out there doing stuff. All the James Philpott and Larry Starkey helped with pre-positioning, both sandbags and things like that at some of the different towns that we know always flood. So it's not just one person doing it, it's all of us, it's the cities, it's, you know, of course Florence and Peabody and Durham, but even last night, all the cities, Lincolnville and Gossel and everybody, Marion Fire, I mean, they were all working together. So it's not one person that does it. Probably the most positive note was I had a citizen come up to me after the events last week with the rain and the flash flooding and everything like that. And they said, thank you for keeping us safe while we sleep. It's a credit to the county that we have such wonderful people taking care of us. So I just want you guys to know that.
Good.
Because you always hear the bad stuff, so here's some good stuff.
Well, Marcy, as a commission, we feel one of your strengths is that cooperation and that teamwork. And so that's what we're really, really happy to see. And it's showing through in these relentless storms night after night after night. So hopefully there'll be some peace.
Mother Nature's not being cooperative.
Yes, yes. Once you get through Chingawassa, then it'll all calm down.
Yeah, it's usually called May and June.
Night after night after night.
Sometimes July.
Yeah, May and June, and then July, there's usually.
We're just gonna bypass that this year.
It's just the active time of year.
Oh, yes, yes, very active.
That force majeure, right?
Force majeure.
Yes. Famous word.
It's a wind farm joke.
Oh, okay. I was like, that one I did not get.
Yeah.
Any other questions or anything for me?
Have you had a chance to visit with some of the other counties? I know it's only been a few days. But
Actually, I sent my schedule to Tina. I have 5 different counties that I'll be visiting in
Great.
June.
Good.
And I've already made up appointments and set up time. My
Nice.
first one is, tomorrow's Thursday, isn't it?
Yes.
Strange.
My first one is tomorrow with Cowley County. Cowley County is kind of in charge of Kansas Emergency Management Association. So they're going to work with me, give me a tour, and there's a list of questions I've started. If any of you guys have any for the other counties, I'll be happy to add to that list, but I did send that to Tina too in case there's something I need to add that I don't have on there. But I do have Butler, I have Harvey, I have Dickinson, I have Cowley, and I forgot what the other one was already. McPherson.
Yeah.
So, yes, McPherson especially because, and Harvey and Butler, because we do mutual aid with them. So I wanted to include them, to kind of go over the mutual aid agreements, the radios, things like that, so.
Very good.
Yep, that's my June.
It'll be very useful, very productive.
Yes, yes, very helpful. And yesterday, Reno County came out and we did discuss the communications trailer. He took me through it, step by step, what types of things we need, what types of things we need to fix and work on with it and everything like that, because they have the exact same trailer from Homeland, so.
Very good.
You talking about the red one or the white one?
No, I'm talking about the real big one that's at Road and Bridge, the one that's got
The
the
Oh,
communication
the community.
tower.
The tower,
Okay,
yeah.
I know
the
that.
42-foot.
Yeah. Emergency tower.
The emergency tower.
Hope you never have to get that out.
Well, we're going to have to start getting it out. It has to be taken out once a year, because it's getting to the end of life for Homeland. And so usually when you have equipment that's close to end of life, it starts experiencing kind of more problems. And in order to keep it maintained, you have to train on it a little bit more. So I am going down June 24th to Reno County. They are doing an exercise with their trailer. So I'm gonna actually be down there when they set it all up, when they run it, everything like that, to take notes, cause you all know how I'm a note taker. So, to take notes on kind of what we need to be doing, what, different things about the communications trailer and kind of the different things with the tower, because it's not something that one person can set up. You have to have at least 4 people, just for the base of that thing alone. So
Very good.
I think that's it.
Okay, well, thank you, Marcy.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Good luck today.
Hope you have a quiet night.
I hope so too. Sleep would be nice. Thank you.
Thank you. You said we had employee evaluation.
Yes.
So,
So that, you're gonna have to go in and out of executive to do that.
Well, that was,
So we can, let me get,
that's good.
oh yeah, that'd be
yeah, let's
fantastic.
get started on them today.
Yes, because otherwise I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna move everyone.
Sure, sure.
Okay, Josh.
Come on in, Josh. I'm gonna try, Lyndon's not my favorite.
Oh.
Reese's. Lyndon will like wait and see.
Drop one.
I'm good, thanks.
Call, got a gas leak. He was here for a minute.
Copies of everything you need for Josh?
Yes.
Okay.
Josh, I think we'll go ahead and start on the budget presentation.
We'll start with the transfer station.
Okay.
Like to try getting another new trailer, possible another skid steer. The one we've got 7 years old, we're having a lot of issues out of it. It's wore, so it's something I'd like to look at either next year. I know I've got the money this year, we split the 2 or something, but.
You still have a backup for it, don't you?
I still got a backup for it right now, so.
Do they have electric ones now?
The skid steer, they,
I've never seen one.
I hadn't seen one. If so, I bet they're pretty costly.
Somebody let you try one out, promotion, you know.
Yeah.
Fire hazard.
Not the place I want that. So, the anticipation changes. Hopefully I can get back to being full staff, being 3 people down and stuff. Just, other than that,
Everything's increasing.
yes.
I like that. Well put.
Yeah. Contractual, I'm gonna be close this year for that. I'd like to try, if I can, raise it a 10,000, kind of give me that little cushion. The commodities, this year is gonna be right at or over. We've had a lot of breakdowns beginning of this year, and it's taken quite a bit hit. I'd like to raise that from 55,000 to 70,000.
And that's your fuel line. Fuel line
Yeah,
items and
fuel
commodities
too,
assessment.
yep, that's, fuel's increased, yeah, thank you. So, just a lot of breakdowns kind of hit the commodities this beginning of the year. Just capital outlay, if I can leave it at where I'm sitting at, would be.
So quick question.
Okay.
The 140 that's in capital outlay this year, it's not gonna be spent, you just wanna carry it?
If I can carry it, if we don't,
So, and then what, I'm sorry.
No,
I hope that's
good
okay.
question.
No.
Because I know Scott's gonna ask
Yes.
when he
No,
looks at
that's-
that. So, are there things that, like if the trailer
Either the trailer or the skid steer, because they're both, I know last year the trailer was around 68,000. I don't know.
Okay, that's what I wanted to
Gone
know,
up.
approximate costs of.
The skid steer, I bet, is going to be between 60 and 70,000.
You can spend it real easy.
It'll be more than that.
The new one will be 88.
Well, we've government discounts too,
Yeah.
so it can be up there too. I just look back on what we had bought 7 years ago, because that's how old this skid steer is, and it was right around the 60,000 mark. So
You don't have anything on order right now that we haven't paid for yet?
no,
Okay.
no, I don't have anything on order yet.
If you order a trailer, how far out do they, you know? at this
Well,
point?
last year when we got it right around December.
It was 12 months out there, wasn't it?
So it was like 20 to 22 weeks, but for some reason it kept getting pushed back further and further
I
and
was
further.
thinking it was about 6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 6 months or a little over. This year on our lease purchase, we just paid off the tire cutter. Should have been the last payment for that if I didn't look at it right. The John Deere, I have one more payment on it next year. But I noticed, I talked to Ashley, we made a double payment last year. So at the end of the year, if I still have that, we might be able to make that payment, and that should be the last payment on that backhoe too. So we wouldn't have anything on the lease purchase for next year.
I'm not quite sure why we don't have it on your budget worksheet, but your building lease purchase payments needs to be in here. That's,
Okay.
A couple of hours.
we'll make that correction to make sure it's on, I'm sure it's probably on the budget. It may just not be on the work order.
Only big item on 160.
Transfer station lease purchase, yeah, there's a building, but there's no lease purchase for the
Lease purchase up above.
Right, but it says zero, and
Yeah.
it shouldn't say zero, so.
The personnel service that's gonna be under budget because we've been short. So that's all for that one. Any questions on that?
I'd say since you've got the capital outlay money, maybe you ought to be looking at trailers.
Okay.
Which are that far out. And if that's gonna be a priority item.
Yeah, I've got one trailer, one we replaced last year, I was kinda holding on to. I'm thinking I really just ought to just get rid of it. It's sitting there rusting away. Got another trailer that I'm having problems with. I can't get it figured out. And
What
I've
about
got
that old tractor that's sitting there?
we're trying to get Road and Bridge to work on it and stuff. We don't know if the clutch went out of it or what, but I know every time we bring it up to them, they're swamped, and then we get busy and forget about it.
Would you be better off just getting rid of that stuff and trying to find a backup?
Though for a backup truck.
I mean, it's not even a backup.
Yeah, it's, right now I've got one of Road and Bridge truck because my other truck's broke down. It's sitting at Williams, has been down there for a week and a half.
I'm just thinking it's almost easier to, some of that stuff that's got major problems, to get rid of it, for a backup truck. I don't know, you wouldn't have to buy a new one, that's
No,
for sure.
we can buy one, an older one. It's just
Just a tow truck.
Yeah, just a fairly simple truck. Just to pull in and out of the pit.
Because it seems like that old iron right now is selling pretty good.
That's value.
Okay.
Those are usually our trucks, that truck's any good. The single cab where you don't have to get in and out.
Yeah, we're still gonna have to get out, and they're still gonna have to jack the dollies up because it's not gonna raise high enough to be able to go in and out of the pit with it.
Oh, okay.
So,
They just put it on level ground.
yeah. Little bumps or, going over dips, they'd be okay, but I don't think it's gonna raise high enough to get them down in that pit without jacking them up, so. Recycling budget. So we got the contractual for $50,000. Got pays Stutzman's out of that one. but then we get reimbursed for the city too, from the city.
Has that been working well?
It seems like it has been, yeah.
Last time I talked to the cities, they said it's well worth it to them, because it would cost them even more.
Mhm. Yeah, it costs in the full 120 or
We'll spend a
more.
lot of money.
Yeah, but then they'd want a reduction on their solid waste fee if they were hauling it themselves.
Mhm.
So it's better all the way around this way.
Has there been any inkling about Fort Riley taking anything again?
I haven't contacted them or anything. I'd like to try getting hold of them, but I haven't made that contact to them yet.
Might be a good idea to just say, hey, we're still thinking about you.
Okay.
Think about something you and I should go do. To go, since you used to talk to them.
Yeah. Well, we can talk to him. Do you still have that guy's number?
I believe I do.
Yeah, you could text it to me or something.
Okay.
Take any of your time up.
That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. We can do that.
Just say,
Sure,
hey,
shorten your tours.
We're still wanting you to take our
Mm-hmm.
recycle.
We could tell them, we could even.
For nothing?
We could even pay you right now.
I won't bring up the
Don't
pay.
start there. Don't start there.
Household hazardous waste. So there's nothing real major in there. I did talk with, Big Lakes is a company that comes and gets all our stuff. The company, they have cleaned them out. They're gonna start charging a transportation fee.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure out how to pass that along. Since I'm on that committee, we've been tossing ideas around, but I just want to get that in there just in case it's not a surprise for us. We might have to help pay a little on the transportation fee or something next year.
Where do they haul it to?
Big Lakes comes from Fort Riley, or not Fort Riley, Riley County, Manhattan, and then VA, Clean Harbors comes in from Iowa, and they'll pick everything up and they haul it back and then they disperse of their stuff there, so. But, contractual, we just, would like to keep it at 20,000. Most everything, I just kind of kept the same on this one. There's not a whole lot of change on it that I'm looking forward to, so.
Were you able to get any more chemical purchases?
I've got chemical, our 2,4-D low vol, it's on back order, pretty much nationwide. A lot of people have problems. I got told don't even think about getting any until probably the end of the year next year. I said, well, it's too late to get it in now because it's too hot to spray with it. I probably will be coming in looking to try to order more chemical. I'm on my last pallet of aiming and I'm running out of some others. So, but farmers are still coming in buying it. So I picked up a couple new people that I've never come in, had to set up accounts for them, so we're starting to figure out can get a little cheaper through us, so.
Are you still selling in gallon increments?
Yeah, we sell everything gallon increments, but it's just whatever we have in the jug, 2.5 gallon jug remedy. When I ordered it, was normally I get the gallons because a lot of farmers like the gallons. And they said that's on back order. They said you can buy all the pallets of 2.5 gallon jugs you want. I said, well, send me a pallet.
Proves how many hobby farmers there are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I said send me a pallet. I said I gotta have it, so I need it because I'm out. So noxious weed. I've got a 4-wheeler that I spray with. Weed departments, or not weed, Park and Lake Alex, and sometimes Road and Bridge borrows it. They spray with it. The one I've got, it's mid-2000s. I'd like to try updating that next year.
Yeah, me too.
And kind of get that new, because I try to use it spraying around the sheriff's office or down there at the transfer station too, so I kind of use it close by and keep that for those guys too. But I've been using it for some of the guys' pastures. I go out and they allow me to go in and check it and
I'm
stuff.
saying side by side would be better, but that's about the price of a new pickup.
Yeah, yep. A couple of pastures I go into, a four-wheeler's almost too wide. I said, side by side's gonna be side by side.
Too wide to get between the trees, you mean?
No, there's some of them that I got a little ravine to go through, and it's only a real narrow path. So that's,
So Josh has that weed capital outlay fund that's got a lot of money in. It's got like 40, almost 50,000.
yeah.
And he's been putting 5,000 a year in it every year. So that would be where you'd want to purchase a vehicle like that from.
That's where all my weed new equipment would come out of. So
Very good. So the money's there.
my money is there. Once they get everything in for that update for my spray truck that we did earlier this year. We're still waiting on that. I'm hoping that should come out of there too. So
Good time, because the used stuff sells at a premium.
Yep. Other than that, the cost of chemicals increased.
Right.
That's one. And in the commodities, I know I sit at $80,000. I'd like to try raising it up to 20, or up another 20 to 100,000, so I can be able to get more chemical. We did get a notice from our the KDA saying, we got to have this chemical on hand. If we don't, farmers can't purchase it from us, they can turn around and take us to court. I was going to print that off. There's this little statue in there, and it's just one of those, like, why? But I think what helps us is we have the cost share certificates, so they can still be able to get it at a cheaper rate. We do that cost share, so.
They can purchase it from you, we just don't have it on hand.
Yeah.
And so.
With the increase in the chemicals, have you adjusted what you're selling them for to cover your cost?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, because it goes up, but my side of it, if I have last year's stock, that's the problem is I have to sell it at last year's price until it's sold out, then I can, but I'm gonna, hopefully this couple weeks, we got a meeting, I wanna bring that up, saying, if I have last year's stock and I have this year's stock, can I take and combine the two and, kind of bring that price down, bring this price up to make a medium, to be able to sell through it and just have one price instead of here, then jumping up so high, and see if that would be allowed. That's.
One person finds out you got that stockpile cheap, they'll buy it.
Yeah, man. A lot of farmers came in and bought, and not one individual bought me completely out, so they got spread out through everybody this year, so.
Very good.
Our contractual budget is 15,000. I just can keep that at that. And personnel, it will be under budget. Just I've been a little shorthanded there. Got one now, and she's doing really good. Just still learning. There's a few things that I catch that we're working on, so she's a good one.
Good.
And then this year be able to transfer 5,000 over to my capital outlay, so that should be sitting right around 54,000. That's before that 6,000 will be taken out of, so I'll be right around that, if not a little lower next year once that comes through. So.
Very good. Any questions? Well, thank you, Josh.
All right.
I just want, you've got quite a bit in capital outlay. Do you foresee a I mean, of course, a four-wheeler's gonna cost. Yeah, that's
And the spray equipment.
Yeah.
15. I mean, is there gonna be any large needs over the next 2 or 3 years? Just looking down the road?
I shouldn't, because once I get my truck updated, that'll go for several years, and that truck's, it's a 13, I believe, 2013 or 2011 model, somewhere in there. But it's got around 70,000 miles on it, so
Broke in.
yeah.
Yes,
My world.
It's got 110 and mine's a 16.
And I don't see anything real big coming through in the next few years.
Just curious.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Good. All right, well, thank you, Josh.
Thanks,
All right,
Josh.
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay, we took care of Department on Aging. Would it be appropriate to go to executive session and review employee evaluations? Till 2 o'clock.
I think you can, yeah.
15 minutes. I move we recess an executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B, Item 1, personnel matters and non-elected personnel performance with the commission for 50 minutes from 1:10 to 2 o'clock. And that is to review employee evaluations.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 4-0. We will be back at 2 o'clock to resume budget presentations.
This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, that happened in the 20s. I know for you.
We're on.
Okay, we're ready for the appraiser department. Nikki?
Now we're back to budget.
So open
Yeah.
sessions, no action, correct?
I'm sorry, we are out of executive session, no actions.
Thank you. Nikki says she's on a phone call.
Okay, we'll give her a few minutes.
Okay. What time do you want to start on the 9th? Do you have any idea?
Nikki's stuck on the phone with the customer. She'll be here as quickly as she can.
Thank you.
That'll be great, thank you.
I haven't said to Scott what time.
Okay,
um,
what do you suggest?
Which day?
On June 9th, which is next Thursday.
I almost prefer to just be in the morning.
I had a question, I
1
put
a.m.
9 a.m. with a question mark.
You want it at 2 o'clock?
Today was a real problem.
Yeah,
Burden.
customers.
Spent all day yesterday, I was trying to make half a day work.
Right.
Somewhere.
Would 9 o'clock work on the 9th?
I can do either. Morning or
Okay, let's shoot the one. That'd be Scott one. All right, Nikki, thank you. Budget presentation time.
Yeah, I can pass that. Okay, great.
He's passing out.
How many trees we got down there?
A lot.
Got a lot of trees? Gosh.
You just send it digitally, that's fine.
Gina said no.
Yeah,
You
it's
sort of
all-
press it.
If Gina said no, then don't.
Well, if we had it earlier, we could have sent it in the packet, but as you see,
right.
here's my stack. You'll have paper copies from me too.
I finished mine this morning, so.
All right, start in with your summary page.
So we would like to sell or trade our Blazer for another vehicle. Either a smaller four-wheel drive SUV or truck. We purchased the Blazer in 8/13 of 2010.
Okay.
And it kind of talks about it further down here, but Tina and I have kind of looked at it, and we may have the money to purchase something from our personnel budget, the remainder of our personnel budget from 2022.
Now, you have 4 vehicles?
We do.
I've never seen all 4 of them up.
They are out sometimes. We generally don't drive the Fusion out to the field. We save that for education, like going to Topeka and stuff. Or occasionally we'll drive it if we're in town, but we don't drive out of town. If we were fully staffed, we probably would all be out, but,
Well, that could be. I'm not gonna argue that, but I just say I've never seen 4 of them out.
yeah.
Same time.
Yeah.
Are you going back to single people out in a single car?
If it's how to answer this correct. If it's the guys don't mind going by themselves. It tends to be the girls who want to go with
Okay,
someone.
okay, that's fair.
Just for safety
Sure.
reasons,
That's
especially
fair,
like
that's
out in
fair,
the
yes.
country.
Mhm.
The guys like to go by themselves. I like to go by myself also, but
I'm just, the reason why, because there has been a lot of discussion, always mentioned, why is there 4 cars out for
Mhm.
your department? That's just, I'm just asking, that's why,
Yeah.
that's why you're getting drilled.
no,
So,
you're fine.
Yeah.
I know we used to take them all out aside from the Fusion. They used to all get drove, except for the Fusion, because we keep that for traveling to keep it nice.
Okay.
You don't keep all your vehicles nice?
Well, we do, just the other ones go down like the county roads, you know, they can get muddy. The Fusion's probably not the best for that.
Here you're trying to be politically correct and they're trying to put you in a bear trap.
Thank you, go ahead.
Okay, the list any anticipated personnel changes. Debbie will be retiring in January. We're in the process of training to replace Debbie now. We will hire a data collector, and that person be promoted as education and experience accumulate. And then Carl's contract is unknown at this time whether he will be here in the 2023 budget year. And we also hope to be fully staffed in 2023. And then any unique situations in your office that would affect the remainder of 2022 or 2023. Again, Carl is our unique situation. Depending on his contract going forward could make a difference in both the 2022 and 23 budget. And then we would like to purchase a vehicle using remaining funds from our personnel budget from 2022. Just any other matters of importance to the preparation of the budget. Capital outlay has changed and a new line has been added to separate vehicle purchases from computers. In the past, they've always been a line item together. And then the overall budget decreased by $764. And really no major changes. We did, in the capital outlay, we kept the computer and the same amount as before. And KCA has started charging for camera upgrades again, which is an Orion for new updates. They stopped charging for a few years and now it's coming back. So that's been added back in, and it's 10 cents per parcel. So we're paying, I think it's $1,264. And then I did increase, we were asking prior $3,500 for a new vehicle, and I raised that to $5,000, just with the rising costs. So, that's It's really the only changes I've had.
Other questions?
Vehicle you wanna get rid of because it's got high miles or what?
Yeah, and every year, battery's dead, and
We got to drive it.
I know, it's 20 years old.
It is exactly 20 years old.
It is. I mean, it's still decent. The last vehicle we purchased was the Jeep, and that was in 2013. So we haven't purchased anything since then.
Everybody likes that,
Huh?
everybody likes the Jeep.
Pickup was 2012. Is
Yeah.
that what model it is? I didn't look the other.
It's a 2007. Actually, wrote that down. The Chevy truck is a 2007, and it was purchased in 13.
Oh, is that the one we just got in from?
Oh,
the-
sorry. Yeah, we got that from the Triple Rating or
Different
something. Yeah.
The government.
Probably the government surplus.
The government
Sorry.
surplus, yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, I'm wrong. The Jeep was purchased in 18.
yeah.
That was my mistake. I'm sorry.
So how many vehicles do we have?
We have 4. The Jeep and the truck are usually always gone out in the field. Those are the first 2 to always get fixed. I don't know why.
They're both four-wheel drive, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
The Blazer is also.
But, yeah, that's true.
Sure. Easier to load cargo.
Yes. Some people really love the Jeep, other people don't. I don't know the difference. There's not a dash, so you can't like push stuff on the
No, I couldn't make it then. I was gonna have something.
I think the Fusion, I couldn't really figure that out because it was bought from another department, but I think we got it in 2009 we got it from Economic Development.
That makes sense.
Because it disappeared and it went away.
Yeah.
Well, the Fusion was a lease purchase.
Right.
We bought that, the county bought that through a lease purchase when Cindy McGill was here.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions?
And it could have been they took over a lease purchase from another department.
Yeah,
Or
we
they
have
changed to a different type of
Yeah.
vehicle or something, but we
can't
never
remember.
actually,
There's a whole stack, and I do know originally it started with economic development, but I went through that whole file and couldn't figure out when we took it over, or how, or why.
Look at the draw.
Yeah.
Well, I think Teresa didn't get something bigger to pull a vehicle, a trailer or something. I think it's part of that. Looks like you went through your stuff pretty good here. I mean, I'm going through your page here.
Well, our budget for PBD has to be turned in like a month before you guys want it, so.
Oh.
Then all I have to do for this
Now
is
we-
update it.
Nice. Okay.
Already done all the work. Have you talked to Carl about setting up a meeting with the commission?
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday. He'll be here tomorrow, so I told him I would figure out what day
Okay, very good.
work with him.
Very good. Any other questions? If not, thank you.
Just think about whether you can get by with 3.
Okay. I
I
will do
would
that.
see if we could help you maybe with something else. I don't know, I'm just, see, I don't know what the rest of the commission feels like.
Should your Fusion be thrown in with Tina's car for people to use?
It gets used by other departments.
Does, okay.
Mhm. When the clerk's or the expedition is gone,
Yeah.
then usually people come to us to use that.
Okay, that's good then.
Yeah.
That may be something too, I didn't realize that was what was happening.
It doesn't, I think
It's
this
usually
past
us.
year it's been used more than any other time by other departments.
This year?
I don't know what this year was. difference in
The
any.
Explorer was out a lot more this year because other departments were needing vehicles or didn't have them and needed to go. And so then if you had a second department that was trying to go somewhere,
Same time.
we would either contact the appraiser's office or have the other department contact them to see if they had one that could go.
This year we waited on vehicles longer than we've ever waited to receive vehicles too.
Maybe we should transfer the Tina's department.
Maybe.
This budget.
We use it quite a bit. It'll be on next week. I'll be on next week,
Okay.
so.
Where you going?
Wichita to KCA.
Oh.
All right, well, thank
Thank
you,
you.
Nikki.
Thank you.
Tina, does it seem like a lot of different departments are able to training to other places than what we have maybe 10 years ago?
Some, yeah, I think some of them are,
We'll go back to executive session.
and departments that have their own vehicle, that are older vehicles aren't driving in this year.
Yep. Mhm.
And people are going back to training for the first time
Yep.
for a
Yep.
while.
Yes.
So,
Well, there's a lot of catch-up training.
yeah.
I did notice the annual conference thing. Coming up. You got an email?
The KAC conference, yeah.
Is anybody going?
It's in
to that?
October.
I'd like to see the agenda first,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean it can't,
I
without a reservation.
don't want to go by myself, that's all.
Definitely Kansas City.
I plan
Now, why they moved that back to Kansas City, Louisville?
I think they'll move it back and forth between Kansas City and Wichita. So they'll stay at Kansas City for 2 or 3 years. and then
Basically,
move
leave.
back.
It's a bad location.
This is
Because
Kansas
you can't all
City.
stay there.
And-
Yeah.
3 or 4
And it's
hotels.
shared.
Basically lose Western Kansas
Oh,
by
yeah.
having it up there.
That's true.
But I know it's
That
also
is true.
political.
Yeah, so you'd want to register as soon as you can, or at least reserve a hotel room, and then
As we
you
had
can
to
always
stay down
cancel
the
it
street.
closer if you
Yeah,
decide
it's
you don't want
It
to.
really sucks when you don't stay right there
It
with
does, it does.
I mean, I've been there for legal municipalities, so I mean, it's nice to be right
I
there.
guess-
Does anybody want me to just make some room
You
reservations,
wanna go ahead and make?
just in case?
I'll go as long as there's somebody
Yeah,
else is
I'll
going.
plan to go.
Anybody else want to go to
Anybody else?
KAC?
I might go.
When is it, October?
Let's see.
17th or 19th, I think.
Well, I'll be so bored being retired by then that I may need something to do.
You may be so busy.
Oh, okay.
You go
Everybody
early-
I talk to.
You go early and stay later.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Well, I can pull that info and
I
then.
thought you needed
Go
to
ahead
build
and
a house
make
over there on the
5
west side of Depot.
Yeah, I do. I do.
You
I
gotta do
know
a lot of that
I'll
sweat
go
equity.
for
Gotta build a fire
first
pit.
part,
Okay.
just
Build a
because it's
fire
my
pit.
last, it'll be
He already has one.
the meeting, my
Yeah,
last
one back
meeting
here.
where I stopped being president.
Okay.
So.
Well, go ahead, let's go ahead and make 5 reservations and we can.
Just for the hotel, and then you
Maybe-
can register
yes,
for the
Maybe we'll get
conference.
the main hotel that way.
Right, that's a good point.
Okay.
Cause it's in the Sheraton.
Yeah, good point.
Okay.
I was thinking the wait, but that's.
Because we stayed a mile away.
Yeah, and I took.
About a 5-hour trip though.
Yeah.
Which
All
way
right.
to find a way around in the dark.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
In
it's-
the city, you know.
It's, that,
one-way streets.
it's hard just to get off of I-35 there. Getting the right exit.
All right, our next appointment is at 2:45. Why don't we take another 25-minute executive session to finish employee reviews? Would that be agreeable to the commission? All right, I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters and non-elected personnel performance, to review employee evaluations with the commission for 25 minutes from 2:20 to 2:45.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 2:45 with the county treasurer for budget presentation.
This conference will now be recorded.
1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yep, okay.
We have the Crowfoot countdown clock.
He likes that.
Love it.
Lot of
I'm gonna just turn the fans on, is that okay with everyone? It's getting a little stuffy.
First it comes in,
A lot
it's
of hot
cold.
air.
It comes in, it's stuff.
It's cold, now it's hot.
I think you guys were burning some brain cells, so.
That's right.
It's a lot of hot air.
A lot of hot air.
You could have said a lot of things.
And
That
they're all
was
true.
a very nice thing to say.
We got a big project there.
Do you have 6 copies of your materials?
I don't really have anything, I mean, I just, I just wanna talk for a minute.
Okay.
Now, you
I
know,
was just gonna say, I will use that last 30 seconds to make
make
copies.
copies.
I don't have anything formal, I just wanna talk about what's appropriate and reasonable.
Well, we've got 30 minutes left, so.
Well, I don't know if I need 30 minutes, but.
All right, we are out of executive session, no decisions made. We're ready to move into the county treasurer, budget presentation. I don't think there's an R in front of that budget.
Well, I don't have anything formal laid out because I wasn't exactly sure how to approach this.
Okay.
I noticed that with the budget that's been set out for personal services in particular, we've gone over the last several years, you know, the office has gone over. And so, you know, since that's the case, I mean, it's gonna go over probably again this year because we hired someone, I mean, we've been trying to hire people as soon as we can to get trained. One thing that's coming up is that, you know, I'll be losing my deputy, and so I wanna hire someone in the next couple of months to help get him or her trained in that position before Kathy retires. So I know I'm gonna go over budget this, you know, that's gonna be kind of a given. I don't know what's reasonable. You know, one of my goals in the office is to be able to give raises when they're available to my people, and I want to budget it for that. But I also don't want to be unrealistic. So, being somewhat new at this, I'm open for suggestions, direction, Tina, commissioners. You know, I don't know, because, you know, we're talking about 6 months, possibly 5 months of double coverage basically in one position with the deputy position. And I know that pertains to this year and not necessarily next year, but.
We can help you estimate that.
Okay.
Just because you have a deputy and a deputy in training doesn't mean they both need to be paid as a
No.
deputy.
No, the current deputy, it will, of course, it's making more than what the new hire will be paid at, yes. But there will be that extra extra benefits, extra everything else that goes with that. Because I can't, unfortunately, you know, how you want to look at it, with that position in particular, I can't wait until October and November and
Right.
bring somebody in.
Right.
Because it would be difficult.
Yes.
It'd be full-time trained too. You can't take one of the existing people an hour a day.
No, because we
Yeah.
tried that. But anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at this year. I know this, we're not talking about this year, we're talking about next year, but I just want to be in a good position for next year.
Right.
You know, with all of you and with the general fund.
And part of the budget process is looking at this year and next year.
Right, and predicting, yes. So, you know, to me, it makes more sense with,
So what has the personal services been over year over year?
well, let's see, in I'm reading this right. Cause like last year for 2021, it was over $8,600. And that was even before all of this has happened this year.
Right.
I mean, we had kind of an extra employee in October of last year. But, you know, so $8,600 last year. And one thing I noticed is that, you know, it has gone up, the budget has gone up significantly, except in 2022, the budget went down, and I'm not sure why, because I don't, but that's actual. I need it. Is there a, am I missing something as far as,
Sorry.
I just don't know what I'm reading.
I would have been glad to meet with you and
I
go
know.
over this stuff.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so these are actuals.
Yes.
This is the budget.
Right.
And this is current actual, but it's only through
Right.
April.
And so the budgeted for,
Right, so it increased, but it stayed fairly level for
Okay. 2022,
and it was probably just, when we budget, when we put those numbers together, that spreadsheet that Sherry does,
Mhm.
did she send that to you? With your personnel numbers on it, estimated?
probably,
Yeah, so, we try to figure those on really close actuals
Okay.
as far as what's happening in the department at the time and what's, predicted to happen. And so, some of this, when we send those out, a lot of times we'll meet with the departments and go over anything that would
Okay.
be different, so, anyway. But yeah, that was the actual budget amount for this current budget year,
okay,
okay?
all right. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not prepared for this.
You
It's new.
You made one statement there that I would like to ask a little more explanation on. You said raises. Are you talking about the scheduled raise if if a person's gonna go from a level 1 to a level 2? I mean, that's scheduled and there's nothing there.
I'm talking about the ones that you all are planning and, you know,
Oh,
We'll figure those in for you in
Okay.
your personnel numbers.
I
We
just don't want
automatically
there to be
figure.
yeah. If there's an opportunity to bring my people up to where I feel they need to be, I don't want to miss that opportunity.
well, that's what I thought maybe you was talking about, and I think past the commission, budget time is the time to talk about whether a person is getting paid for what they do or not. To come in the middle of the year, and then just to throw positions on is not the way it should
Right.
be done. It should be budgeted in.
Absolutely.
And so that's the only thing I could see, that if you have something that you see that way, to bring that in on the budget now. And, but that's the one, that's one.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
The only other thing is that we're still trying to get bids to reconfigure the office. That's a difficult thing to do. I didn't know how
Pin
difficult
down
that
that
was.
number.
I thought people would be wanting to do that. But we're having a hard time finding people, and then we're having a hard time getting
Yes.
responses from them. And
Mhm.
so, that's kind of in the back of my mind too, but I also have vehicle funds for that. And that's why I've been kind of waiting to see before I turn over my vehicle money, to kind of seeing where we are with that. But I realize that the 2021 vehicle money, probably can't cover 2022 expenses, 'cause that would have to be encumbered, I realize. But anyway,
Cash carryover.
right, or,
The vehicle fund is just a little bit different because there's
Okay.
a statute that says, and I'm not 100% familiar with the statute, so I'd have to look at that. We can look at it
Yeah,
together, or
okay.
Scott could tell us.
okay. So I guess at this point, I guess we'll just keep things as they are and see how it goes. Because I don't have a good feel for what to expect budget-wise, since this is my first go-around.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, you know, demand or ask for more than what I really need when that money can go for something else. Because I think we're maintaining pretty good. You know, I don't foresee any huge expenses other than this overlapping of personnel.
You said revamp your office area. Is that the combine two rooms, or just the front area that you're looking at, or?
I want to probably just if we reconfigure the main office area, we'll probably have to move those cabinets into the other office, and so it's be a matter of moving those cabinets around. I'm not looking to do anything major in the other office. The front office it's better than what it was in the 1990s. I'm not trying to be critical, but it just needs to be updated. The panels are filthy, that can't be cleaned anymore. The desks are broken, the trim is breaking off of the desks. That served its purpose, those desks.
How old is that stuff? 10 years?
No, it's like late 1990s.
Yeah, it was before I worked back for the county.
Because they did that when I was in the deeds office.
Was it mid-90s?
Is
or early?
Later 90s, like 97, I believe. 97, 98.
What we put up? We put a bunch of stuff in there.
Well, all that we put in was the sneeze guards. And then
No, we put in
cabinets, the big
Those big
cabinets and some
cabinets.
carpet more recently.
And the
those
carpet
big-
was 3 or 4 years ago.
The big file cabinets.
But we didn't put no new desk below the sneeze guard there?
No.
That's the same.
Those are old? Okay.
Yeah, and I think it may be longer ago than what you're
Okay.
thinking.
Well, I know that it was done when the deeds office was done, and I was in the deeds office from 92 to 98. So in that time period. So it's been a while. I mean, we've had good use out of it. And, through the whole COVID thing, it made us realize how close we are
Close you are.
in there. Because, there just is no
Right.
space, and
Can't get to 6 foot.
well, and just, and as far as customers are concerned, it's not real ideal with the way that counter curves, and we have a customer here and a customer here, and,
Corner.
it's just time to just kind of rethink it a little bit. And we're not talking about, anything outlandish. We just want to reconfigure it, have comparable equipment to what we have now, as far as desks are concerned, and just, make it a little more user-friendly and customer-friendly.
I wonder if anybody knows whether that is whether there's a safe in between the two rooms there, right?
It's vaults.
The vault, okay.
I know, I wish there was a way just to combine it into one great big room, but
That was my
yes,
my question.
I'd love to do that, but
There's lots of
It would
vaults.
have to be a U shape of some kind if you did
yeah,
And then it'd
for
have to be
in and out.
common space,
Yeah.
right through there.
Is the vault locked overnight?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
I just asked. I didn't know
I'm
that.
sorry, Randy.
yes. And then we have a safe inside the vault for
Okay.
the money, but yeah, it's,
There's just something I didn't know.
no, that's all right.
Don't
It's
know till you ask questions.
what we do, yeah. But all the important stuff from there.
How's your computer technology and stuff like that?
Well,
Have to
I mean,
follow the
it's,
state?
it's as good as Lloyd can keep up with all the craziness going on with it, and then of course we have the state and, Kansas Department of Revenue.
Yeah.
Their, activity
Requirements.
involved, and so it's an up and down thing, but it's no better or worse than what it has been. One thing I wanna do if and when we ever reconfigure that office is get a printer for each person. Right now, we share printers, and have have a printer for each station. And I think that'll help the intermingling and, all that goes on. But otherwise, I'm not anticipating any other big expenses, and I don't even have an estimate or anything for the office, just redoing it. Just, just moving things around, I don't even have an estimate for that. But I'm not planning on paint or carpet or fixtures or anything else, I'm just talking about desks and chairs probably. And then we're gonna utilize the sneeze guards that we have the best we can, because those are beautiful and
Yeah.
they were
It's
a big investment. And so we're gonna utilize those.
something that's been needed for a long time.
It really is. Yeah, it's something we've talked about in that office for years, and so it's much needed. So I guess at this point, I guess we'll just keep things as they are and see how things transpire. Because the only concern is the double duty, so to speak.
That's gonna be in 2022, not 2023.
Yes. it'll be coming up in the next couple of months.
Well, do you have any line items in your budget that there are excess funds in, that you would consider to be excess funds? And then, is there ability to move any excess funds into personal service?
So here's what do you want Susan and I to meet and
Yes.
go over and
Yes.
review?
Yes, I think that'd be the first step, is for the two of you to get together and go through the personnel issues.
Because I
and
can
get that
help
budget.
you figure out, like, based on
Right.
historical and what you've
Okay.
got going on, I can help you try to project and things like that.
Yeah.
And we can evaluate your current.
Yeah, because there are some line items that haven't been used in a couple of years.
So typically, the capital outlay,
Mhm.
you know, we often carry over to help fund the next year if you haven't utilized it. But we also probably need to be looking at if you have some plans in place for computer rotation, replacement, things like that, which you may be looking at out of your tech fund, maybe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they may want us to, I think if we meet together, I can help you try to come up with a little bit better target or a better idea, if you're open to that. And
Oh,
then
of course.
we can bring that back.
Okay.
You could bring that back to the board at a
That
different
sounds like a good
time.
plan.
Okay, sounds good.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
And I'm sorry I giggled about the locking of the vault. I was just imagining what it would be like if, just because I know we.
You had a vault and you didn't lock it?
We don't know the combination.
All the money's up.
Yes,
Okay.
I got the giggle.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. It just,
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
That would be a horrible thing on my face.
sometimes the weirdest things strike me as funny, as you guys probably know by now, so.
Does every one of the vaults lock them up? But the attorneys, I don't know about
Attorney probably doesn't, they just lock their, I don't know, because they don't have, as far as I know, they don't have,
It's an open meeting.
yeah.
I'm
just saying,
Maybe not
I'm
talking
just saying
about
it depends on what things are stored in
Yeah,
there. So
right.
some things aren't required to be locked, and I believe the items that are stored in a particular office are probably not something that's required to be locked, because they're, but I can't answer for them. I just know about the treasures and us, what we do, so.
All right, well, we've got a little break, just recess for 14 minutes, 13 minutes.
Or do you want to start with some of the,
Do you want to start with something else?
well, I mean, if you want
Start
to,
moving people up.
if you want to go
We
over to
can
the
move the
commission,
clerk up.
or,
Yeah,
I mean,
let's
we
do
can
that.
start some of
Yeah.
mine if you
Yeah.
would like to.
That'd be great.
Let's do it.
Okay. So, here's the first one.
First one.
Then you got the clerk, election, courthouse, commission.
Yep.
Emojis. You got emojis.
Only one. It doesn't have cat ears or anything on it. See, this is what happens after 2 days of meetings, guys, I'm just saying. So this is for the county commission, and I just want to raise the question about whether you want to start thinking about getting your laptops in on a rotation, you know, because,
Instead of doing them all at the same time.
Are they all-
and we haven't budgeted it,
They
so.
were all same time, weren't they?
When we first bought them, they were, but it might be a good idea to maybe start setting some money in capital outlay and maybe buy 2 at a time, or, you know, do 2 and 3, 2 one year, 3 the next,
Yeah.
to replace.
It'd be best to do one on there, in my opinion, it'd be best to do it on 2 in 2024,
Okay.
and then 3 in 2026.
We want to do it and coincide with the elections.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying, so
So
that
we
way,
have to relearn.
that way if, well, say 2026, I don't run again.
Right.
Somebody new comes in,
Right.
they can have that new computer.
That's right, they don't have to learn the old one, they can
Yeah.
start.
So
That's a
when-
good plan.
I'll make a suggestion to go back to touch screens. I love my old touch screen.
Oh, tablets?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
And they're.
As long as they're not
They're less
Apple.
expensive also.
As long as they're not Apple, I don't care.
No.
So what we had was,
I can't stand an apple.
before was it was a touchscreen with a keyboard,
Yeah.
but it was smaller.
Smaller, but still.
It was like a ThinkPad.
Okay.
I don't know, cost of those. I actually didn't look into that, but I just happened to think about this when I was finishing up, that, hey, I wonder if we should really just start thinking about that, because that would be in your capital outlay line, which right now, we've only got $500 in there, and so.
Well, and I
you
like
might wanna-
Jonah's plan, if we could start planning for 2 in 2024, and a budget for that, and budget for 3 in 2026.
Okay, so did you want to go ahead and put some money on that line in 2023 to start the ball rolling? So maybe put at least 1,500 or 3,000 on that line.
Yeah, because you're gonna need 4 for the 2, you're gonna need 6 for the 3. I mean,
So do you
going rate is
what
2
number
grand
would you
less.
like there?
I just put 2 grand a year, 2,000.
Okay.
Depends on how loud, well, if you went back to ThinkPads, then they're only like $500-600 a piece.
They were more than that when we bought them. They were like 1,200 or 1,300 a
They
piece.
had come down on that.
Well, you're also gonna have Lloyd do a bunch of stuff, so.
Well, it does anyway.
I mean, what I'm saying, that's gonna add to the cost.
Okay, so do you want 2,000 on
Yes.
that line item for capital outlay
Yes.
instead of 500?
Yes.
Yeah, in case somebody craps out or something too.
Right, we ought to have a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Needs some extra there.
Okay. Second point, listed anticipated personnel changes, and that's where my emoji is. No anticipated changes.
I think she knows the plan, something's happening, guys. She's got a plot.
Okay.
No comments.
Any unique situations, I wasn't aware of any for the commission. And then as far as please explain requests, I basically kept everything the same on the pages that I gave you, except for now we've added the 2,000 and replaced on the capital outlay line. I did put that the board hasn't had a salary change in quite a while, so that was, I mean, in 2020, we did go to 5 commissioners, but the salary of each commissioner stayed the same. So it's been several years. I don't know if we keep it the same or if you're ready to put an increase in there.
Hasn't been one since I've been on.
Right. So I guess I just put a note there and let me know if you want me to switch it, but as of right now, I left it the same.
Consensus.
The only thing that when people ask about wages, is the only thing is the insurance for commissioners is paid if you want it. If you don't, I mean, that's the way it is. Employees too.
Right.
I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying if there was a straight wage, straight across the board, and if you wanted insurance, you would take it out of that for commissioners. But I'm going into a whole new world now, so I don't know. I'm going to retirement world.
It's not comped, is it?
Yes.
Insurance is comped?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
except for you pay the single rate or the family rate the same as every other
Yeah.
employee
Same
for
as
commissioner. So
I didn't-
yes, the county
I
does.
didn't
pay.
know that, I thought you had to pay it.
No, county pays it.
I'm paying my own,
I'm paying my own.
yeah. I was on-
Well, I think it's a great thing. I think it's a great thing. It's just straight across the board, then we know that if you want to take it out of your pay, you would be that.
It's available to you, but you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You get a pay raise now, but
I'm not advocating any pay raise, but I know in the last year, I've had so many people ask me when commission was gonna be considered full-time. They said, we don't believe that you guys can do justice as part-time.
Well,
We do
I've just been in the last year, I've heard that.
We
answered
do
my phone.
consider you full-time as
Right.
far as being an elected official, you just don't get paid a full-time wage.
But I mean,
It's minimum wage.
actually, being
The hours
physically
are- it's
on
minimum
site.
wage for 40 hours a
40
week.
hours, yeah, it's 40 hours.
couldn't anybody run
Yeah,
it.
the first, that was just been the last year that I've had.
I'm interested,
several.
curious why people are picking up on that, because usually they don't see it. I didn't see it till I was in the.
You make the chair full-time.
Yeah, once you take the chair, then
Well, it's kind of funny, you know, I know.
Because it is.
Put a little office right in
The
here.
guy guys up in Saline County, I think actually do spend 1 or 2 days.
Yes.
They have an office.
Yes.
Dickinson.
And there's 1 or 2 that
Dickinson
are
does.
there.
Dickinson does.
Yeah.
They have a work day also.
Now, the other thing about that is, coming back to Commissioner Garing, the point that I agree on is, you have an administrator, you are really part-time. Move back to part-time, because they carry, the administrator carries a lot of this.
Is your executive secretary.
Yeah. And then instead of amateurs running it, you have a professional.
You know, but just thinking down the road,
Sometimes semi-professional.
what's it gonna take to get people
Amateur.
to run for this type of office?
I'm talking about topside down.
Yeah, well, same commission's amateur.
I mean, it's kind of funny that nobody has an opposition. I mean, yes, we're doing a great job, but
But we
it's
can,
sure somebody.
Yeah, that'd got their blinders on, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess to come
when
back
the
to.
when the bar has been set,
Well, yeah.
pretty low.
All right, let's
Stop there.
Let's bring the commercial, the
Back-
conversation back. The topic
Back
is,
that one out.
for budget purposes, is there any interest in raising commission salaries? I see none.
Well, I just think it's probably
The consensus is
something to be
leave-
thinking about in the next
But
year.
whether there be some adjustments made,
Yeah.
but as far as the dollar figure, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so as of right now, I'm leaving, then it looks like everything stays the same, except
Yes.
we're increasing the overall budget by 1,500
Yes.
to start being ready to plan for computers. Okay, all right.
Very good.
Ta-da.
We got
I'm done.
one of the three. I see Isaac's here, so why don't we move into Park and Lake? So you don't have to sit in the
When
hall.
you get on that Medicare, you can. I never run the
I've been writing it down every week.
I think I'm spending $500.
Hello, Isaac.
How we doing today?
Beautiful
No,
afternoon.
it's for me.
There should be 6 there.
There we go. Now we're ready.
Yes, to number 1 and move ahead.
Okay. All right, yeah, number 1, I don't really see anything big. I would like to purchase some tractor forks for our tractor. Right now we have a bucket and it works, but it's something that we've talked about for a long time, and I really would like to get those for our tractor.
You talking about grapple?
Just forks.
Just forks, you
Like
bolt
a
off the
forklift.
bucket.
Yeah, just so we can get under logs, because right now we have that bucket, so like when we move stuff, usually we use the bucket, chain stuff to the
Yeah,
bucket.
it doesn't work.
It's not, definitely not
I try to
ideal.
do the same thing.
And so that is something that I really would like to
Good.
get there.
How many trees a year do you have?
Oh, man.
Well, what I'm getting at is what Kent just said, and I just, for the first time, just purchased one for my new tractor. And a grapple is amazing. I mean, to handle what they handle for trees
Pick up brush and stuff.
and brush and stuff after
I
storm.
think you would like it a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I know too, like, there has been a couple of situations to where I've just called Road and Bridge because they got those for that big loader, and they've come out and use them to move stuff, because it's either that or us spend all day with a chainsaw cutting it into smaller pieces to where we can move it with our tractor. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do think a grapple would be awesome to have too. But
I think they make
With
adapters
forks,
for
forks
most
will
of
allow you to drop off balance and.
The only thing I see
Well-
is, I don't know whether that blue tractor, if you're talking the blue one, right? I don't know if it's set up on a quick connect.
it's not.
It's not. so-
And you can buy an adapter for the to send it over to the quick connect, but the adapter alone is pretty much more than these four, because I looked at that
Yeah,
option
but
too.
it's so easy. I mean, it
Yeah,
makes the
right.
job so easier
Yeah.
to switch from a bucket to the grapple or to the forks,
Yes,
whichever you may want.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been sold here lately in the last
Yeah.
3 months for.
Well, and we've talked about it, never done anything about it, and this year we've done a lot, and it was like, yeah, it's time to do that.
Only thing, if we do a grapple and the forks and that kind of stuff, I'm gonna pass, when I make the motion to do that, I'll add on to put a shed up so we get the tractor in the shed.
Another,
Everybody keeps their heads down except for two of us.
Yeah, I don't like to see equipment sitting down.
I didn't either.
well, and I will say, I've been trying, because we talked about this last year, for the equipment. And to get a shed isn't that big of a deal, but I'm really trying to do it with that metal that we have.
Okay, so,
And
this
so,
just,
Okay, so the board made, I think they may have voted to
That's
do
gone.
something with that metal yesterday.
We're gonna take sealed beds.
unless you've got a
Get rid
great
of
plan.
no, and I've been having, then that's kind of been like the hold up, because I've really been wanting to use it to get it out of there.
Okay.
And that's where the because I've had people come out and look at it and say, well, yeah, but we might have to change it and do this and that.
Modify it, there'd be so much
Yeah.
modification to get it working.
And
You
I've
have
been
to
trying, I mean,
remodel.
kinda get rid of that at the same time we can get a shed, but as far as getting, however we wanna get rid of it, I'm all for it.
We just did that yesterday.
Perfect, okay.
Yeah, I haven't had a
yeah.
chance to talk to you about that
Okay,
yet.
well, yeah. I'm happy with it as long as I can get it out of
We,
there.
we thought there might be too many opinions, and so it was,
Okay.
just,
That way
It'll
you
make
can
it
concentrate.
easier on you.
get what you need.
I like that. The other thing is, and I have this here, maybe a new mower. I have a small mower out there. I think I can get another year out of it next year, and then maybe the following year get prices for that, because we rebuilt the engine the beginning of last year. We had that done, and it's a 48 inch. It's more of a residential hustler. I think they've had that out there for a long time.
It's only 48.
It's good
The
for
small-
trimming.
It's good for get around small
Trees,
things,
yeah.
campground and things like that. There are times where it's nice, but if we put too much more money into it, I think at some point
Probably need a
You just gotta-
60-inch minimum.
bite the bullet. Yeah.
What kind of numbers do we need to put on those, the fork things on the mower
Put 5,000
for?
for grapple, if you go grapple bucket and switch over to get everything. I don't know, see what it would cost, but I would pay
Okay.
5.
I know I have not the only thing the quick attach adapter that I was looking at, it seemed like that was gonna be around $2,400.
And then the grapple's about 2,500.
Okay, and the forks we were looking at were, I think, 12.
Yeah, they're 12.
Yeah,
They're down
and
there.
so,
Okay, and then the mower, how much on the?
55.
And we're just looking at
Okay.
not close numbers, just
You're
big
gonna be
numbers.
$10,000.
yeah, probably 10,
I'm good.
12.
15.
Yeah.
All right, what number am I putting on that?
Well, let's,
All right, let's bring it back. Okay, we got too many conversations. Let's get
Hustler
back
right
to-
now, over at Hillsboro at the Ag Power, they have that's 72 inch, it's bigger than that. But it is top of the line, it's set to 14 without asking for the government discount. So if you got the government discount, I would say at least 12 or 13, somewhere in there probably. I
That's
don't know
if you
what
can
that
get one.
government discount is. But that is a heavy duty, it's commercial mower, and that's what you need.
Yes.
Okay, so do you want me to, I mean, we're not putting these numbers in the budget, but just
Right, so you have
13?
something to go by.
You want me to put 13 on
13 on the
there?
mower and 5 on the.
Okay, thank you.
Personnel changes, I don't plan on anything there.
You hope not.
Yeah, hope not, yeah, exactly. Number 3, anything that will affect the remainder budget. As of now, no. The one thing I put there is if we run into complications on that dam repair thing, that might do something there, but it sounds like, I talked to Brian, within the next 30 days, we should have an answer after those other seven groups review that plan. And as of now, he made it sound like he's hopeful that nothing's gonna change and that will be approved, so I
And the
don't.
number on that again was, on the repair? I'll have to look it up, because we're gonna need to have that figured in somewhere.
Okay, I was gonna say, and I can get that to you.
Okay,
need
I just
to.
don't remember it.
Yes.
Okay.
Number 4, the matters of importance to the preparation. I have 2 things there. One is the campground upgrades, which we've talked about, and I have gotten some estimates on that. For this year, we were looking at it possibly, but the pedestals were so far behind. It sounded like they would get here in the middle of summer, and at that point, just kind of scratch that off the list because it's not something that wanted to do this during the summertime. So I have some stuff on that on the next page as far as pricing and all that goes. The second thing is just kind of the infrastructure out there at the lake in some areas. We talked about it briefly about some of the culverts. I have some issues on some shorelines and some of the jetties, just looking at really shoreline repair, gravel, rock, things like that. Some of it we can do with the equipment we have. It's just going to be the cost of rock. Some of it might have to bring in like an excavator, something like that, that can set things down where we need them set instead of just dumped. A lot of it we can do, but I do think between the roadway, the rock roadways and everything like that, here within the next year, by the end of next year, we're gonna have to actually do some serious work out there. I know
Lakeshore?
No, not lake, just shore, like really like the shore of water line.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You was talking about some of the roads.
Oh, I meant inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Roads.
The
Yeah,
gravel,
okay.
the gravel
Okay.
roads, like down to the campgrounds and things like
Sure.
that. No, not including Lakeshore. Just that. I know, like right now, I think I've spent around $1,800 on just gravel alone for the roads. And it's one of those things. Every time you get a rain like we've had, the gravel that you put down.
1,800 won't go very far.
Well, and you're kind of back to where you were the start of the year before. It just washes away, and it's constantly something. And with what we had last year there, right before the 4th of July, it started a lot of, I guess, larger washouts. And once those get started, the water just continuously goes into those same spots. And at the time, you don't really think of it as a big deal, but then every year it rains and it just kind of gets worse and worse and worse. And so that is something that we're really starting to notice here this year with some of the rain that we've had that we're going to have to address. And then number 5, explain the request. That's just kind of, I guess, what I'm going over now. The big one with the campgrounds is upgrading there from 30 amp to 50 amp. I know that we even this weekend, past weekend, we filled up every single campsite that we had out at the lake. I did not have any electrical hookups open, which is a good thing, but I also had to send a lot of people to town to get the adapters to drop their 50 amp plugs down to the 30 amp plugs. And it works. It's just not ideal. A lot of those campers have two ACs, things like that they cannot run if they're hooked up into the 30 amp. And it's just something that has changed over time.
Should you have those in your store to sell?
Should I?
Yeah.
Probably. I probably should. I know Ace Hardware has them now, and that's where I've been sending them.
That's fine,
But
too.
yeah, it is definitely something that we could probably sell in there. So on the actual budget worksheet here, under personal services, I have 115,810. And on the last page there, that was what's the magic number with the changes there in July. That's where that number comes from. Contractual 110, which was the same where we were at last year. I think that is a good number there. Fish contest expense, canoe rental, nothing there. Commodities, I didn't change, just kept that at 20. If you look, we went over there in 21. I guess the cost of things have just been rising, but I think we can make that stay the same. That's not a problem at all. Memorial expense, trees, I kept that one the same. And then capital outlay and utility upgrade, kept that the same. So on the bottom here, I went ahead and I got an estimate there for the campground upgrade. I got an estimate for 10 pedestals. It would cover the whole middle row of our big campground. We have 32 campsites in that campground. I think if we went through and changed 10 of those over, that would at least be a good start. I would also, we have another smaller campground with 6 pedestals that is down by the water, and that has water and electric hookups at it. I would also like to get those 6 changed over to 50 amp as well. And then that way we would have about 20 with 50 amp, and then we would still have this other 2 rows on the back there behind the lake hall. We can keep those at 30, and you have a good mixture of both.
Good.
And I think that would be a really good start. Another thing that's been talked about a lot is bringing on-site sewer. I don't know if that's something that we want to do or look at doing. I have not looked at what that would take or cost to do. We have the dump station right there, and honestly, I have not had any complaints or disagreements about not having sewer on site. The dump station seems to be sufficient.
Unless we're gonna offer full, long-time camping.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of the thing. I mean, the dump station's right there by the campground, so if they, in 2 weeks, usually you don't have to get up and use it until you leave. I mean, you can make it 2 weeks on the tank, and so that kind of thing, it's not really a big issue. I do have on the bottom here, and this is something I wanted to talk to the board about, our events that we have. We have the Bluegrass Festival, the Chili Cook-Off, things like that. And that group, we met here Memorial Weekend to discuss some things, because over the years we've made some money on those events, and they were talking about wanting to possibly look at some possible things to spend that on. So across the street from the lake hall, we have like the swimming area parking lot, and then there's the hill that goes down to the water, then you have the stage, like where the bluegrass bands play. They were thinking about possibly wanting to get spread out from the length of that, some poles set on that side of the lake. One, you could have lights on those poles, which would then shine down on that hill for safety and things like that when everybody's there for the bluegrass festival. And it would bring lighting up to the parking lot on the opposite side of the road from the lake hall building, which we do not have now. The second thing they were talking about is if we put like a 50 amp and a 110 on each one of those poles down below, so then like our food vendors and things like that, when they come out, they would have a place to hook up to. For the chili cook-off, they would have some places on the other side of the road to plug into instead of running cords across the road from the lake hall building. That is something, you know, we talked about. If they had to, I think we could possibly do it with event money. I don't know if we want to do like a 50-50 split between the two or something like that. But I do think, you know, that hill, there's no light on it whatsoever. And anybody that's been to the Bluegrass Festival, it's dark 70% of the time once those bands start playing. I do think it would be good to have that light there, and the other thing it would be good for is when we do have big events at the lake hall, that other side, it would provide lighting to the parking area there for people. So it would
safety thing.
Yeah, it would be it could be multiple use. There's a lot of things to have to look at, whether you ran that underground or above head, whatever the case may be, because it would go over the top of the boat ramp, I'm assuming, with how they would have to run that power line. So I don't know if we want it above head or below ground, but it is something I just wanted to talk to the commission about, to see if it's something that they'd be interested in, or if they want, when the time comes, I can get pricing. But I do know that events, they said they would like to spend the money that we've done from that on something like that.
Well, it would be a good asset for the events.
Correct.
And a good asset for the lake hall, for the parking light. And safety issue, Commissioner Crowfoot said that we're at an extension cords. That's not good. No, I don't like
I would
that.
like to do a 50-50.
Yeah, I agree.
With the event people.
Okay.
So we can both get more bang for a buck.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
But that's a major contribution from them.
You're talking about putting the poles at the edge of the asphalt?
What we were thinking is even pushing them back. So right now you have
To the east?
Correct. So where you have, right now we have like we call them Lincoln logs, they're not Lincoln logs, but we have those logs across the front for like the parking right before the hill for the swimming area.
Right.
Kinda in line with that, so then the lights ahead would shine both kinda down the hill and on the other side there, but then you wouldn't have to worry about people pulling in and out and hitting, you know, having to worry about hitting the poles.
Okay.
Cause you would
Well,
have
that
them,
was my.
yeah, kinda have
Because I
them
was,
right.
if you're gonna put them in the parking area, then I would say you need to be a 24-inch diameter, 3-foot high concrete.
Yeah.
Steel pole.
Right, yeah, we were thinking more back to the east, kind of right there on the row alongside where those parking logs are for people for like the swimming area, so it's right
So
there.
you'd still stick with a wood pole or something.
Yeah, kind of what I was thinking.
Okay. You get more bang for your buck out of wood.
Yeah,
pole,
yeah.
But takes a little less to snap them off.
Right, well, and that, you know, if you moved them out, it would shine more light on the road, which the lake hole it does get the road, but once you get halfway across the road towards the lake, it's dark.
Yeah.
And then that way you could kind of multi-use for the parking lot and that hill there as well. And that's what we can do.
Is that what you was planning on then being a main power source for later on, the run around the poles?
Correct, yeah. On the poles, like I don't know if we just we did that there.
With pedestals.
Yeah,
Very good.
yeah.
But they're not in-ground pedestals, they're wall mounted pedestal, but pole mounted. Yeah.
On the
That'd be awesome. And then you could get those camper pedestals.
Yeah,
Then you got your 20, 30, and 50 all built in.
right there, yeah, because I know like all the food vendors, most of them either take a 30 amp or a 50 amp. And right now we have them stacked along the lake hall because we put some out there here, I think that was last year or 2 years ago. And it works, but it fills up quickly. And so, yeah, it's just something that they talked about here Memorial Weekend. We had a meeting, and they would like to spend some of that money on that project, so. And then the next page, we have the base shop. So this is gonna be our first full year running. Last year, I believe we were at 15,000.
Well, we did a
was-
transfer to like the seed money
Yeah,
was
seed
15,000 out of the park budget.
Okay. Right now through May, which last year I think it was right around Memorial Weekend when we got fired up. We're at about $5,247 that we've spent. Looking from last year, June, July, August, it was right around about $2,000 a month on inventory and things like that for the shop. We've kept it about as basic as we can with necessities. You know, we have not gotten a whole bunch of new stuff and anything like that. And I mean, I think it runs very smoothly as is. We get requests all the time for things, some smaller stuff we consider, you know, we've kind of stayed away from any kind of really big purchases or anything like that. And I think if we just continue right along that path, it runs pretty well. It really does.
How much are you selling about?
How much? Well,
He's
I just,
replacing his inventory of 5,000.
I just got
so far.
Yeah, I just got. It's like for the month of May, we spent. It was right around 2,000, and we made right under 6, which May's been the best. This May was the best month since, like last year. Our best month was right around $3,000, and yeah, this May we just did almost 6.
6,000.
Yeah, and that like I said, I think I mentioned this year, even early spring, it's been way busier than it has. I think now word's finally getting out. So I don't really know what to fully expect for June, July, and August, but yeah, it's been busy. And I mean, we've been about every week having to run to the store or put an order in for things because we're selling out, which is a good problem to have.
But
People like to just drive out and buy it right there.
It's gonna be busier though because with the reservoir, so people are fed up and they're going out there, and so you're gonna have more
happening out there.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't plan on really expanding to get more stuff. I think everything we have, like we talked about when we started, it was like the basic necessities and things that people look for. And if we get too much stuff, it almost gets too complicated, and this is about to the point to
Don't
where
have room.
Right, and all of our restocking things are graspable within a day or 2 days, and so it's done really well. So the yearly projection, I think 17 would be a safe and easy number. And that's what I have there. Last year, it looked like we were at almost 12 after the end of the year, and that included a lot of, the startup cost was a big one, just getting everything stocked and in there to start, which we don't have this year. And we also are running an extra, January, February, March, 4 months than we did last year. So I guess we'll see. Like I said, I really don't know what to expect over the next 3-4 months, but I do know that this May we were busy out there. And I do think that 17 would be a good number that we can stay under.
Okay. Good. That sounds good. All right,
And that was all I had.
any questions for Isaac? Yes.
Do you have a boat?
Yes,
Does the parking lot?
we have a boat, and it's not technically, I don't think it's our boat.
It's the
State's boat.
state boat.
And I think that's back when Steve was here, I don't know what year that was, but from my understanding, I talked to the fish biologist about it, because he was out just this past Monday, we got to visiting about it, because he saw we had some stuff in there. And from what I understood, they got new boats, and they did not like having to be out of all the other water that they worked on before they came to our lake, because we didn't have the zebra mussels. So they initially just left that boat out the lake, so whenever they did work on our lake, they could just come out when they had time and do it, instead of having to wait the 5-day dry period for the zebra mussels. And then they just said, listen, we're not ever gonna use this boat, and just kind of leave it here for you guys, and I believe that's how we acquired
It's
that.
kind of like Forest Service stuff.
Yes, yes,
You know,
yes.
Yeah.
they give you something to put a water tank on, and then they never want it back.
Yeah.
Well, where I'm going with that is, I've heard that you have to drive around in order to call people down.
Yes.
And when the boating and stuff gets tough, so.
Yes.
You mean a little jet ski?
Huh?
You mean a little jet ski?
I
With a little
said boat,
snowmobile.
I'm just mentioning that I think that
That's what you need.
if we need something for this guy to be able to get to the water, and, I don't know if you're a swimmer or not, I figured you are, but I don't know, not everybody's a swimmer, so I'm just saying that I would sort of entertain a motion to more or less head in that direction, or put it on the budget for next year or something, to get something. I don't know what he needs, that's why I'm asking this question.
And to the point, that's something that I have a hard time with, and I've had a hard time with pretty much since I've started, because Friday and Saturday, the wake ends at 6 o'clock. My truck has lights, it does not have sound, anything like that. We buy an air horn that we try to use to get people's attention. And I understand when you're on a boat, you're by the motor, it's running, you're not gonna hear it. So there's certain locations, and there is a light out there that is by the boat ramp. And this was something I've been looking at, I haven't found the answer to, but at 6 o'clock, we turn the light on, it's a red light that spins.
Right.
6 o'clock in the middle of the summer, it's bright. You can't see it. And especially where it's at, you have to be on a certain part, the main part over there by the dam in order to even see that. And so we've thrown some ideas around to try to make it a little better. And I also understand, some of the boaters, I didn't realize it was 6 o'clock. You get out, you're out there all day, and I understand that part of it too. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I know, you know,
Maybe look at the strobe lights,
and see, and we,
something like that cuts through even when it's really bright.
right, and that's what we were talking, like even like a, what's on the top of a police car, what's on the top of my car, even if you could get some kind of bar light up there that would actually put something
Oh,
on.
yeah, you could probably mount a bar light up.
And we've tried to think of different ideas, you know,
Digital
if you could
display
get some kind
that has a
of,
crowfoot clock on it. That way they'll be checking it repetitively through they'll be looking at it throughout the day, wondering what time it is.
get some kind of siren or something that goes off at 6. I don't know, we've talked about it a lot, but I know like Adam, when he's out there, he's had the same problems. I've had the same problems. Sometimes I call boaters that I know that are on the water that know the rules and say, hey, can you help me get this guy's attention?
You could hear him all the way across the lake when he cut loose.
I think they used to have one that was attached to the truck in some way, because I still have, well, I think I have the one in the shop somewhere. We were looking at it one day to see if we could figure out how to
But Dale used to have a
use it.
siren.
And he did have a siren on his truck too. I have the lights, but there's no sound.
I've heard a boat cut several times.
But yeah, it is something that we deal with, and like I said, I don't know
Attention.
what the best answer to that is. We've thrown a lot of ideas around. I've looked at some things, but it is something that we do sometimes, occasionally have issues with. Some weekends it's not an issue at all. Some weekends it's all night. But
Dale had his own boat too. He had his own boat too.
I was gonna say I don't know.
I think he had his own too, but it's just, I've heard that, and I think it'd be so much easier to be right on the water, to go up, if people's jumping off and swimming over here, or getting, you know, doing whatever, it's just easy to get around than trying to drive around and come down to the lake.
It's quicker.
It's a lot quicker and stuff, and
Could you use some of the profit off the store to buy a boat?
I'm not suggesting any which way. I'm just saying that I think we got to value, if in case there's an incident out there, it would be nice for, if he has access to get out there. I mean, there's probably plenty of boats that would be around if there was an accident, but I don't know. Just throwing it out so that everybody can think on it. Maybe come up with a plan for it.
All right, anything else? Thank you, Isaac.
Hey, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Doing a good job.
Thank you.
Keep the sun out.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's coming next week either.
No, that's true. That's true. More rain.
Okay. Okay, Randy, would you want to bring in Perry? Sure. I was like, you got an issue?
No, I'll be right back.
Sharon and Colbert. Yeah.
Folks,
Something
all right.
like Perry.
Right in here. And who's ever gonna be the speaker? If all of you, one of you, two of you can sit here and the other one, and then take turns, whichever?
Well, because I don't want to sit alone, someone
Oh.
should sit up here with me.
Oh, okay.
You two can hash that out.
Well, you've been here probably the most.
I have been here the most, only 3 times. Does that say anything?
Well, experience.
Experience, I'm getting it, I'm definitely
Okay.
getting it. All right, did everybody, we didn't send letters to you guys, did we?
Nope.
Do you have some extra ones?
Get some printed.
Yeah, we can print some off too. Yeah, have her run in and print something. if you need to. I mean, we need 6.
We, do you have any
Yeah.
extras?
Let her,
Oh,
let her print some, she'll print some off.
Okay.
Just need one. Two.
more.
Sorry, Ashley, 2. Oh, there's one here. There we go. Now we
Do
just
one
need.
more.
We need one
Still
more.
one more.
You want me to wait?
Yeah, let her
Okay,
print that
we'll
off
do
so
that.
I can see what you.
She's gonna need one.
Okay. Still raining out?
It was sprinkling a little bit when we got here, but not like it was earlier.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do introductions really quickly before?
You can do that, yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I have 2 new folks here with me. This is Matt Ankenbrandt. He is our new CFO, been with us 8 weeks.
in Hillsborough?
For
Or Newton?
Newton, well,
Newton, okay.
yeah, but he's the financial backing of the whole
Okay,
thing.
alrighty.
And then Tim Hine is our vice president of CMHC services, so basically he makes sure all of the services happen for kids and adults in the 3 counties, from therapy to case management and anything in
Okay.
between, so.
Who's your mother, Tim?
Brenda.
Brenda, yep.
My grandfather.
Bob's grandson.
Bob.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I can see Bob in him.
See a little
I can see
resemblance?
Bob,
there?
yeah. I sat up here with Bob too.
Yeah,
so-
he was the county commissioner for a
Yep.
little while. Yeah.
Okay, Marcy, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure will. Well, first of all, thank everyone for giving us time to come in and present and talk about our financial needs and kind of our state of being and what we're looking for the upcoming year. So while you know part of Prairie View services are to provide services to anybody, whether they can afford to pay or not, so we serve a lot of uninsured and underinsured individuals, which we'll talk about here in a minute. I do want to point out that the data on here, the mill levy, is from last year. We didn't have updated mill levy information from our association, so I just put it on there for reference. And when we went and changed our request, we just increased it by 2.5%. I have no idea what that's going to look like, but we went through the trends of what the mill levy had looked like historically for about 6 years, and it kind of ebbed and flowed, so we tried to take that into consideration when we made our request. So this information is from last year, but Marion County is at 42 at $7.68 per capita. State average is $7.80, not too far off. The Health County ranking is accurate for this year, so Marion County ranks number 27 in the state. So for Marion County, last year we performed 173 evaluations for hospitalization for the state level hospital. 34 of those individuals were from Marion County. That was a 61% increase from the prior year, and we believe it's going to continue to go up as we continue to deal with the ramifications of the pandemic and, you know, job losses, family losses, things like that. We served 606 outpatient services in Marion County with over 16,000 services provided, and 78% of those individuals that we provided the 16,000 services to were either uninsured or uninsured, under or uninsured. So either they didn't have any insurance or they had Medicaid, which doesn't cover the cost of services. Over 34% of those were provided as charitable care out of outpatient services in Marion. So we lost nearly $500,000 in revenue for underinsured individuals, and then $36,000 for uninsured individuals. We have 15 staff in Marion County, and the average payroll for those individuals exceeds $500,000. This year we're looking for a budget request of $95,325 for Prairie View to serve Marion County residents. And when I presented to McPherson, they wanted to know historically, like, what was the trend of what the county had contributed. So I brought those all on a large sheet of paper here. I can tell you, in 2007, Marion was at 60,000 and was stuck right around there until about
Last year?
2017 was 65, and then jumped up in 2021 to 93,798. So last year was kind of the first big jump for Marion County since we started our numbers in 2007.
Guess how much in 21?
In 21, we jumped it up to 93,798. So those are my statistics and my numbers. Is there any questions I can answer for you? Any additional information I can share?
I have a question, in dealing with our sheriff's department on their budget. The jailer we were talking about we have people that need some help. Evidently they get on a Zoom meeting or something with you folks, inmate, or whoever that person is, and your provider.
Med provider, or is it for screening, or is it for medication?
Well, anybody that they feel like has issues. I didn't realize that the county was paying for those. on top of this.
Okay.
We got somewhere around the number of $130 per session. And
For a 40-minute session or something like that.
yeah, and then, so we thought we were kind of covered and contributing a little bit to not have
So
to-
my question would be, if we're gonna be paying that, can a little bit of that be allocated toward our jail, rather than us paying this and then paying you again?
Right, well, I believe these numbers, I can go back and double check, but I believe the numbers that we gave you were people that were not in the jail. That we
Right,
were
no,
serving.
that's what I'm saying. If
Okay.
these were people that were incarcerated,
Mhm,
and we're paying the bill for them, when they have to talk to you.
mhm. I'm assuming they're uninsured individuals, they
Well,
don't.
you know, I'm guessing most of them are,
Uh-huh.
but, you know,
Insurance was
but
paying
from what our
for the
jailer told us,
jail.
Okay.
what did you say, 40-minute session for $130? And that was, you know, it wasn't in person, it was by Zoom or whatever.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we're doing a lot of our services via Zoom, we're short-staffed, I don't have a crisis
Yeah,
department.
I'm not
big enough.
questioning that.
Yeah,
My
so-
question is, if any of that allocation could be directed toward 10 sessions per, some, I don't even know what the number is.
Mhm.
Because, you know, we're paying a large sum of money, and then we're paying you again.
But I don't, I mean, I get what you're saying, but in my mind, we're talking two different, we're not double paying for the same person. We're just paying for different people in different populations. We're still serving individuals in the county.
Right.
But I guess I'm saying that we would still be short. We're still gonna lose money then if some of this budget goes to those in the county jail, then we're gonna end up losing money to serve those that are not in jail. I don't have the dollars to cover it. Now, we're moving towards a CCBHC model, which will help decrease some of this deficit. It will give us, so those underinsured folks will be able to be served at a cost that covers our expenses when we move into that model, which we're hoping to be there by July 1 next year. It's a process. We have to do cost study reporting and all of that kind of stuff. That will greatly help reduce our losses when we're able to move it to that point. So then we'll really just be looking at uninsured folks that we're having to figure out how to cover costs for. So we're trying to move towards the direction of taking the funding off of the county and our own losses. But we lose about $1 million a year in uninsured, underinsured folks. And so, and that's even with county funding, like the funding that we're getting from all 3 counties. So we could do that, but I think it would just decrease our capacity to serve other folks in the outpatient setting.
Well, I'm just, you know, it's a real dilemma when you have to take care of the incarcerated. The taxpayer of this county, and every county, has to take care of the incarcerated people. Many of them have mental health problems.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get doubled up. We pay for your consult, and then we go to the pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
And we're, I think we're just trying to figure out how this is gonna work, because in the environment we're in right now, we're gonna have more uninsured folks.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, whatever the taxpayer of this county can withstand, you know, and we're a small population county compared to McPherson and Harvey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, all of the folks that you're serving in jail, they've committed crimes, like there's charges pending and all of that. Because what we're trying to do in Harvey County is, and we're gonna execute it out into Marion and McPherson once we get it perfected or at least worked out, is kind of a law enforcement liaison, someone who goes out in the community with the law enforcement officer to determine if it's a mental illness versus criminal intent. And then if it's truly mental illness or SUD, then we look at getting them warm handed off into Prairie View to start services and keeping them out of the legal system and out of the jail cells. Now that wouldn't work if someone was not mentally ill and truly criminally intended, but that's how we're trying to get people to the right place and keep them out of the jails and into treatment.
That's what we need to work towards.
Yeah.
Because right now the jails are being treated as mental health psych wards.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
We have
that's breaking us.
Yeah, and we have hired our liaison for Harvey County, so he's doing ride-alongs, we're training him, we're already active in that process, and so once we get that up and going, then we want to replicate that to the other 2 counties as well. And it could look different in every county. Harvey County needs may not be the same as Marion County needs, and so we'll have to be flexible with what those positions look like and what their duties are, but we really want to get a feel for what it could be, and then open it up to the other 2 counties and make sure that we're doing what they need as well.
Because that is, what you're trying to do is what, I'm on the Harvard Marion County CDO, and that's exactly what we was asking for through that board, is that when a police officer's out there at 1 o'clock in the morning, you know, there is nothing for anybody at 1 o'clock in the morning. The police officer has to make that judgment of what kind of case he has, how to treat the case, and things like that, and I believe that somebody like that, if we had that person like you're talking about, would be able to help that police officers make that decision before they, well, I think the last one was in the Sedgwick County Jail that I believe that was probably a mental case and wasn't treated like a mental case.
Yeah.
And ended up dying there. So, so
Yeah.
it's a tough question for those police officers out there, and a little bit of help in this field would be great.
Yeah, I think
Appreciate that side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure that we're training this person to be able to accurately assess and make sure that we're making the right recommendations to law enforcement.
Any other issues or questions? I think you're, go ahead.
The 95,325, does that put us at the 780 average?
The 780 average was from last year, so we did a 2% increase on that because it goes up, because we don't know what the mill levy is going to be this year. And so we're doing our best, guys, just based on what mill levy's done over the last 6 years.
Okay.
That's kind of how we came up with the number. Any other questions?
All right, I think Commissioner Becker hit on what was probably our main concern, the issue with law enforcement. But your response to that situation, the plans you made, I think really address our concern, and we really hope that that program takes off.
Yeah, we definitely are committed to it. And it's part of this, this CCBHC model that we're moving to. It's part of that model, so it will be required to do it. So we're just trying to get good at it before we move into that model, so we know what we're doing.
Well, we're excited to hear the progress, how it moves forward.
Absolutely.
Okay. With that, if there's no other questions.
For my own, we have 15 in Hillsborough. What type of staff is that? Are they caseworkers or administrative or secretarial?
Probably have all the above. We have case managers, therapists, we have a APRN, a nurse, a couple administrative staff, financial counselor.
Like RN, you mean? Or?
Like a nurse.
PRN.
Kind of like an RN, yeah. There's dual stuff that you do, you know, assessment-wise and things like that, so.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah, so we need more clinical staff. We have a school-based therapist, we have another child-based therapist, and we have an adult therapist, and we're still actively searching for more clinical staff and case managers. I think they added an additional, I want to say, like 7 staff for the summer to provide a summer program to the youth in the county. So probably numbers about 22 then over the summer.
You guys work a lot with the schools?
Yeah, we have collaborations with Gossel and Hillsborough, and continue to provide services as we have for a long time. Marion, I know they say they still go into the schools at the center as well, but we do have like specific kind of MOUs with a couple of the schools that have wanted us to have specific plans with them, like in Hillsborough and Gossel, where we get a therapist in there and stuff. So we're always open to have the conversation with any of the school districts too.
We're just talking about, I'm sure everybody was talking about Uvalde, Texas, you know, so we're just, it's top of everybody's mind.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's a good topic to discuss. I mean, that's the idea is that you help all the kids be able to recognize things and provide as much mental health support as you can, and to obviously the goal right now is decreasing stigma right around getting mental health support. And I think the state has actively taken a pretty good approach over the last several years, and so there's several schools that have really good mental health programs in the school, collaborating with the CMHCs, and I think Prairie View's always had a good relationship with the school districts here. It's just like, how do you continue to ramp that up? What do you do to make sure you're meeting all the needs? Because those needs have grown rapidly in the last 3 years. Just really lots and lots of needs out there.
Yeah, our school-based program has grown so much that we've had to hire a director of the school-based program to serve as a liaison to go into the schools and make sure everything's going well. And so we're serving a lot of different schools, and we'll continue to serve more as the need arises and the desire arises.
Very good. Other questions?
Yes.
Going twice. I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. You guys are almost done?
Patrick don't show up with you no more?
Patrick, I got him working on other things. He's growing our access department so we can keep people coming in the same day that emergencies happen, so he's busy. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ashley's ready to move forward with the budget. Right? Yeah, right out that door.
She's leaving.
Didn't mean to be right down the hives.
Yeah, I know.
States conference call is going on right now too, so I was trying to listen up to that.
You made it.
I did, and I was listening into our conference call,
Oh, gosh.
our election conference call.
What do you gotta do?
What's that?
Do you want us to come back later?
No, it'll be all right. I can get the bits that I missed from my neighbor. I'm sure Harvey County can
It's
tell
always
me.
good to have other people network.
Yeah, okay, here we go.
We got the commission done, we're ready for,
Next, oop, let me keep my copy.
oh, you gotta keep yours. Work.
Okay, so for the county clerk's office, the personnel line item I took from Cherry's figures. I just want you to know any department that has an elected department head did not have any kind of an increase figured in. I think the idea behind the pay plan was potentially to have an increase every year as the others do, but we are 6 months behind the regular employees because we started ours in January for the electeds. So I just want you to be aware of that. Depending on what the commission says, if you want it figured in, that's gonna affect all your departments that have elected department heads. So the sheriff, register of deeds, attorney, clerk, treasurer.
Right.
On the elected, is there any chance we could get some data for the average in Kansas? On those
Yes.
elected?
And I think that was done at the time you implemented the pay plan,
Right,
but I
yeah.
can do it again.
Yeah, just,
Get another year of newer data.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, that's a good request.
So I just wanted you to be aware.
Well, not just the average, the high, the low, and the average.
Okay.
Because, you know, we could be sitting right at average, but the other county right next to us is,
So
It
you
depends on
want-
the county.
yeah, right?
So you're asking for a salary survey of all the counties,
No,
for all the
not-
electeds?
Not all the counties, just, well,
If
an
you
average,
get an average, you gotta do all the
yeah.
counties.
I know we probably have the clerks that has been updated recently, which I could probably request doing the rest of them. I'll see what I can get.
No,
Okay.
I guess I'm,
No, it's fine. I just wanna make sure I know what you're asking for.
I think you know.
Better if you get us
Okay.
Give us something to compare to.
20,000
Okay.
population, because Johnson County said we've
Yeah, we don't wanna-
distort all that.
Yeah, we don't wanna be distorted with.
I mean, if
them.
you- all counties under 20,000 population or something like that.
Cause either McPherson County's gonna be higher
Oh, well,
than Marion, I'm sure.
Yeah, but
we really need to know what
Harvey County.
South Central is. I mean, what our neighbors are. 'Cause that's where people quit and go to work.
Okay.
Elected officials?
I mean, just anybody.
Well, they
Just-
can. The only
they
one
could.
the only one that is required to live in the county is the sheriff. So if another county official wanted to go be a county official in another county, they can. So,
Commissioners gotta be there too.
well, commissioners and sheriff. Yes, I'm sorry. How could I forget you?
Yeah, that's what I thought, too.
Okay.
Okay, moving on.
Let's see, contractual and commodities, I just switched my numbers. I mean, I decreased one and increased the other, just to make it a little bit more accurate. And then, I reduced my capital outlay a little bit. I do need to buy a computer out of here, but I need to actually buy 2 computers. I'll buy 3 total, but out of the clerks, I'll buy 1 out of my budget, 1 out of my tech fund,
Yep.
and 1 out of my election fund.
Okay.
And then I don't have any anticipated personnel changes. The only unique situation is a rising cost of supplies, and then just want to make sure you're aware that there was no step in for on what we figured for the electeds. And, yeah, that's it on mine.
Very good.
This one is for election. And as I had discussed on the last round here, that I will need to buy another computer, one for my election clerk. So that would come out of the election budget. No anticipated.
I'm sorry.
No anticipated personnel changes. Just to
Sorry.
caution, at number 3, unique situations, just to caution that the 2023, which we're budgeting for, that election is smaller, but we need to make sure we maintain enough money in the election fund, because the next year we have a presidential election. So just, I'm not anticipating any new equipment at this point. I don't know what legislative changes there may be in the 2023 legislative year. I do know that there is going to be an additional training that's going to be required. It's an election certification school that all election officers and election staff will be mandated to attend, as will be put on by the Secretary of State's office. I have no idea the timing of it, the exact timing, or any idea about what the cost of that will be. So that is something that will be coming up. When I know more, I'll let you know, but we definitely will need to have myself and at least the election clerk go through that, and I would really prefer if all my people went through it, because we all handle and work with the elections. And again, I reduced the contractual slightly on this year, but I would like to keep the overall budget the same so that we have adequate funding for 2024.
So 2020 would give you more of a.
Yes, and so when I look, if you look at my 2020 and you look at the contractual on 2020, I'm not 100% sure that is going to be a good number for 2024. But see how high it is.
Right.
It's pretty darn high.
Double and then some.
Right, and then part of that was postage.
Sure.
Because in 2020 with COVID, we had so many ballots that we had to mail out, and so a lot of that, when we mail out, utilizing the postage machine, it shows us a contractual expense. And there were other expenses, that went along with that, trying to figure out how to do poll sites and everything in a pandemic. So there was a lot of challenges on that election. So
also boxes bought
Or was that 2019?
You mean the equipment?
The boxes, certain things got bought too.
That was, I bought my Dropbox with a grant.
That's right, that's right.
Right. And that was paid out of the risk management fund.
Mhm.
We had those grants ins and outs going out of there, so. Any questions?
Looks good.
Okay.
I thought we were done.
Nope.
We actually have two more.
Oh.
I did another one for courthouse computer because that's a line item that is,
Randy.
I need to talk to you about.
Randy was thinking we were done.
Oh, no.
Courthouse, courthouse takes all his money.
Yeah, courthouse does take a lot of money.
For
So,
windows.
just to keep in mind, the courthouse, when we say courthouse, that doesn't necessarily pertain only to this building. It pertains to general county expenses that aren't otherwise parsed out to the departments. So, equipment purchases, I'm unaware of any major equipment purchases or personnel changes. We do have one full-time custodial employee, and then I'm utilizing a contractual agreement for additional cleaning and maintenance and yard work at the moment. If that would change, those two would just flip-flop a little bit. I'd take some out of the contractual and put it onto personnel, or the other way around. Unique situation, rising cost of fuel and supplies. I put a question mark on the line, my county counselor. That one has been the same for a couple years now, so I didn't know if you're gonna make a change to that. I left that. That's gonna be up to you to decide what goes in that line. Also, courthouse security, I believe, is being paid out of our contractual line item, which wasn't budgeted for this year. We've been trying to keep it to a set amount per month. That's probably gonna be mentioned when, I would imagine, when the 8th Judicial District comes in. Anyway. I increased the contractual line item just to try to be as accurate as possible with what we're actually doing. And I kind of gave you a list of what falls under those categories. So contraction, and you might notice commodities has bumped up quite a bit, because I only had 25,000 in this year, but we actually spent 47,000 in 2021, and fuel is on that line item. So fuel, supplies, paper, everything that's going up.
Are you using a figure
But the
10,
maintenance
15% or even?
contract on the elevator.
That is under contractual,
That
and
went way up, didn't it?
it's always been expensive. It did increase a whole lot, but there is some work that probably needs to be done on the elevator at some point. Because you probably remember that we were able to get it repaired, but there was a part on there that they can't get anymore. So that isn't something I put in here, but that'll be an expense when we have to do something.
I think I alluded to some of those maintenance contracts yesterday about annual increases and whether we ever try to negotiate more than 1 year, which I suppose we have.
It's kind of hard on an elevator one.
Yeah, we sometimes do, but the issue then is
Yeah.
it's just kind of hard to do. I'd be happy to bring those contractors in here and let you guys talk with them.
Yeah.
Stay on the annual.
You might notice that in 2021, we had a really high amount of capital outlay for the courthouse, and that was actually the expensive heated dock.
Right.
Majority of that. Okay. Any questions about that? So this one, a lot of times we just discuss when Scott's here, but I figure I would just bring it up. We have two other line items within the general fund that are for computer expenses. So one of them is the courthouse computer line item, and the other one is the AS400 line item, Randy's favorite. So I did check with Lloyd this afternoon earlier to find out kind of anticipated equipment purchases. There are a few things, nothing astronomical equipment-wise. Probably, of course I didn't bring that note in here. There is no personnel, so that's not applicable. Unique situation, something to think about that you all approved moving to subscription-based office suite and email. And so that cost by itself is, I believe, around $40,000 a year. And so, and then we have continual upgrades required and additional processes for cybersecurity. So just one to give you a heads up, we have had this line item for courthouse computer at $50,000 for many years, and it has never been adjusted. And this year you will need to adjust it. Because I know we're over already. It is in the general fund, but it would be nice to be more accurate with what we're actually trying to project. So I would say that just for the courthouse computer line item, you probably need to put $110,000 in there instead of $50,000 to be really on track with what we're actually going to be spending. And I would recommend leaving the AS400 line still at $50,000. That's for your large server purchases and things like that. So.
Does our insurance cover these ransomware attacks?
To an extent. Everything is, yes, we have insurance, commercial insurance, yes, it covers certain things, but it only covers it to a certain extent.
And it's becoming more and more prevalent. And I mean, lots of different businesses besides government get hit.
Right.
I think it's like your home insurance, it covers everything but what happened.
Voice of experience.
Like a hailstorm, everything but the roof.
Yeah, that happened. Or wind.
You didn't pay the extra $16 so you could have the replacement coverage. Well, nobody told me about the replacement coverage.
Because I didn't want you to get through that. All right, very good. Thank you, Tina.
You're welcome.
Other questions? So Scott will be here on the 9th. We will meet at 9.
I will be gone in the very first part of that. I
Do we need to
double
move it
booked
back?
myself. No,
We
you
can move it back.
don't need me, do you? You can have,
Yeah.
it'll be okay.
We don't need Tina
It'll take
for
him
budget.
it'll take him an hour
When
or
can
so
you
to
be
get
here?
to it.
That is,
Well, that's true. Oh, when can you be here?
Late morning,
10:30, 11?
hopefully 11, yeah.
You want to move it back to 11?
We can start whenever. We want to move it back, that's great.
well, Lloyd has some stuff to go through with us, right?
It's just his introduction.
I mean, yeah, it
Takes
usually,
about an hour.
so.
So it doesn't, it's up to commission. When do you want
We
to
can
start?
start it, move it back to 10.
10? That way he's got an hour without
Yeah.
Tina, so he can be totally confused and then Tina has to clear everything.
Oh, no.
No, way we could take notes.
I mean, Ashley, I'll have Ashley in here.
Sure.
But I just want to let you know, I accidentally double booked. I have something that I can't get out of that
Sure,
morning at
that's fine.
7, so.
That's fine.
He would probably prefer to start later anyway.
I mean, even 10:30 would be great, if you want, if you want.
10:30 is fine.
Commission's wish, 10:30?
Yep.
All right, we got.
Okay,
We
so-
will be meeting on June 9th at 10:30.
Okay.
Is he gonna did any?
Yes.
advance
Start tomorrow morning.
notice of some of this stuff?
I will send, I've already
today.
sent them the financials, the audited financials, so they can start keying those into the budget form. I will send him all the department head information ahead of time and the salaries. And, so he'll at least and I've been putting some notes on things, so he'll have my notes. I don't know how much of that he'll actually enter before he talks to you, but at least he'll have it, so he has, you know, that he can look at it and ask questions. And then, I'm hoping, I mean, we should have the value, the county value.
Okay.
So, yeah, before then.
What's our due drop date again now?
Well, you have to notify the county clerk if you're going to exceed the revenue neutral rate by July 20. That means your budget pretty well needs to be set by July 20. And your hearing date and everything, so, yeah.
Revenue neutral rate.
Mm-hmm.
That's R&R.
Okay, any other questions on the budget schedule? What does Monday, June 6th look like?
Well,
Our next regular commission meeting.
we have St. Luke on here at 1 o'clock to discuss transfers. Road concerns, there's a citizen on here with road concerns. 8th Judicial District will have their budget.
Okay.
Health Department, Krista's department head review.
Okay.
Is at 2 o'clock. And then I've got Road and Bridge and County Councilor, whatever.
Okay.
That's what's on here so far.
All right. Hopefully, we'll finally have the road and bridge and councilor at the same meeting, and we can finalize a few things. I'll give Brad a heads up on that list, and Bryce, because we've been bouncing back and forth between those two. All right, anything else? If not, take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you for your patience.
Last Friday,
It's funny how he always tries to, I'll
they
take a
gravel.
motion.
Judy knows
We always make him have the motion.
They put gravel down the road.
It works.
Judy knows last Friday. I was down